Welcome to the Dataviz tutorial series. In this episode we will discover how X-particles Dynamics and Redshift can help you create stunning data visualizations. Let's dive in and learn together. Before we jump to xparticle, we simply create a sphere from here, and the radius we change to 200, the number of segments we will change to 50. If you do not see in preview just with NB, you can see the preview for segments on your object. So now it's time to create a xparticle. Just we jump to the xparticle and here XP system. We drag our sphere here in utilities to be organized, then select XP emitter and object. And in emitter shape, we just select the object and drag our sphere here. Now all of the particles emitting from the surface of the sphere. You can hide the sphere here, hold Alt and click. And now we just go in XP emitter, emission, speed we don't need, we make it 0. And as you can see, all of the particles are staying on the sphere. Now we'll add another modifier because we want to create the motion for particles on the surface. So for this, we'll just select here modifier, and in motion modifiers, we will select follow surface. And when you select the follow surface, you just drag here in a follow surface need an objects to follow. So then we drag it here. Because we don't have any speed, we don't see any changes. And the speed here, we already make it 0 because we want use another source of force. But if you back to the default, you see that the objects are moving on a surface. Let's back again to the 0. For a speed, we will use speed modifier. Again, we'll go to the motion modifier, and here we will find XP speed. And we will change operation to the absolute. And now you see that they are moving on a surface. But they are moving randomly, and this is not what we want. We want all of them. If I just show again the sphere, we want all of the particles move along the segment. And for this, let's hide again. For this, we'll choose XP Dynamic and here xpFlowField. And when we select xpFlowField, quickly you see all of particles are moving around the sphere, and they are all randomly moving because here we have layer selected random. We will deactivate the random because we don't want randomly they move. We wanted them along the segments. For this, we will use the surface tangent. And in surface tangent, if you select, you need an object. For this, we will use our sphere as a source of tangent or as a surface. We drag the sphere here, and still we need few things to do to make it better. First of all, we just select XP emitter, and in emission, for this we'll make only 300 particles that we can better see the movement. Then in xpFlowField, we'll back to surface tangent. Here the fall-off we will remove. We don't need any fall-off. And the strength here will make it 100. We'll make it very strong. To see better the result, now we need to add a generator. Just come here and select xpTrail and drag in emitter here. And now let's play. If you see here when we play, let's make for example 200 frames, and these trails will be very heavy at the end because they will follow to the end, and this is not what we want. We want to have a little bit control on trails. For this we need another modifier. So we just jump to the modifier, and here in control we have xpTrailmod. And here when you play, all of the trails are gone, but here with intervals we have control on it. Because the operation is shrink, it means all of them will be shrink, and you can say here how long they stay. For example, 25 frames. And this is great that we can have control on it, that not all of the timeline will be all the time with long trails, and we can control it with the how long they can stay there with here. You can play with it. For example, 5 frames, you can test it. We'll create for you another beautiful visualization. You can put it, for example, 15. You can easily art direct it as you wish. Let's stay for now, for example, 50. And as you can see here, a little bit is too fast. Let's just go to the XP speed and make the speed value, for example, 60. And now is much better. Now we can back again to xpTrailmod and make this interval, for example, 50. For example, you can see it's too much here. You can play with the interval. Okay, I want to be 30. And we can, for example, here in generators, we can add the xpSprite, and this is our emitter. We just drag it here, and we can use our data visualization, or here, for example, cubes or a sphere. Now we want to add the second particle group. So we will call this number 1. We will hold Alt and just drag it, and we will call it number 2, the second particle. And the second particle, we will go to displays and change the color, that we will not be confused with the different particles together, and we can distinguish between them. To see the second particle better after changing color, we can select the second particle in display and change the square to sphere and play again. If you select the number 1 and the emission is rate, it means it's generating all the timeline, and the second one, the emission also is rate. Now to make it better, we just select different emission type. We keep the second particle as emission rate, but the first one we change it to shot. And now let's play. And you see here we will have more random distributed particles. We have the trail for only first particle. We will rename it to number 1, and this number 1 will be representative for the first particle, and we hold the Alt and drag it, and we call number 2, and for number 2 we drag the number 2 emission here, and we wanted the second particle also have trace, but a different type of trace. When you select here, instead of no connection, we will select nearest by distance. Now we can make the particle distribution on the surface even better. Some of them are too much close, as you can see, and some of them are too far, and we can distribute them more beautifully. Just here select the sphere and the type of sphere. We change it, for example, to another type, for example to tetra, and let's play again, and will create for us another distribution. And I recommend to use the octa. And another thing that you can do is, if you see that we have the trail 1 and the trail 2, they have same color, and we cannot see it in preview easily the difference. So for that you can easily select the trails, and in general and in the basic you can here just select the custom and again change it to your favorite color. For example, red, the one we can keep it, and if you see now, if you select that we have easily created the red and the green, the trailers have now different colors. And also in a sprite you can easily art direct it and change it, for example, to cube. If you see the shot is 1000, you can make it 300. And also we have in preview these lines that they are from xpFlowField. If I hide it here, hold Alt, you see they are gone. But we can also select the xpFlowField in display, just here show vectors, deactivate, and we will not see any vectors. Now we have the clean version, and it's ready for the next step. Now we are done this version, and it's possible your client said that all of the movements look like this. I like this, for example, and he has another wish. For example, he can say, can you make this another movement? I want all of trails and particles from left to the center, for example, or from center move to the sides, or even from the center to the top. All we need is just playing with the xpFlowField, because if we turn off the surface tangent, you see here that all of the movements stop. Now we have just simply only affecting the particles xpFlow surface. And here, if you click random, you see all of the particles randomly move. So we will need here to the add and here work with shader. Just adding shader, and in a shader you can see nothing is happening when you add it because we need to assign a shader to this. So we can use, like always, noise, but noise also can give a kind of randomness. Let's test it, and you see noise also give a kind of randomness in moving particles and creating the trails. Maybe this can also be good for an idea, but we right click and reset to default. We don't want the shader or noise. We will change to the gradient. And now let's play and see the particles direction changed from this rotating to totally move from the side to the center. You can, for example, change it to 2V, and all of particles suddenly, we just change the type, move from top to the bottom. And this can be also a client wish. And if client said, hey, I want from bottom to the top, you say no problem, just right click and invert gradient. And now play again. We just move all of the particle motion with just one click, very simple, from bottom to the top. And now let's play with the type, another type, and see what kind of result we will get. For example, radial. We changed the direction, the radial, totally to the different. For example, if you remember, we had at the beginning only this kind of. Now we have like radial movement. So now let's, for example, invert it. We change again from the top to the bottom. And now particles are moving to the top. Or we can play with the circular, and this is amazing. And you can see just easily we created another data visualization. All of particle moving from the left and right to the center. Maybe this can be a wish for a client, and you just with the gradient changing the type created another preview without spending a lot of time. Let's play with the box, and box created another amazing results, just like a polar taken to the top and the bottom like a source and view at the center. And now let's play, for example, with the linear. And you can play with all of results here and create your own data visualization simulations and export them easily for your clients. To summarize it, we just used two emitters. One was emission on shot with the shot count 300, and the second was emission on rate with the birth rate 100. And we use also two different algorithm type of the XpTrail. One was algorithm no connection, and the second particle has algorithm nearest by distance. Then we, in modifiers, we use xpTrailmod to control the length of the trails, and also xpSpeed to control the speed of the particles, and xpFlowSurface because we wanted to follow the surface. And lastly, we use xpFlowField. xpFlowField give the direction or the motion or speed, and we use surface tangent for following the tangent on the surface, and we also use the shader, and in the shader we use the shader gradient mode, and we play with a different type of the gradient. Now we want to use Redshift to give color to the data and render all of the trails. Before jump to the Redshift, let's a little bit art direct the directions, because as you can see here now, if here is the center, they are moving to the left and to the right, the data or particles. And we wanted to change the movement. If at the center they are data, they just go all of them from the center like this direction, and all of them be at the corner or at the edge and stay all of the data and particles here. So for this easily we just can do it in our gradient. If you turn our scene, and you will see in this view better. Here, if this is our center, let's play again and see all of them from this view, from outside, just moving to the center. But we want totally the opposite, and it's very quick and easy. Just select xpFlowField and the shader. We just click here because we have already selected shader and the shader gradient, and in gradient we just right click here and invert it. And now let's play again, and you see all of particles from the center just moving now to the opposite side. Now we want to use Redshift, and instead of having the 3D object in scene using xpSprite, we will remove it and using Redshift to render all of the particles. And why we don't want to have xpSprite? Because created millions of objects will make your 3D scene very heavy, and we want to have a smooth preview all the time. And this is reason using Octane Render Redshift or any kind of renderer will help you to have millions of particles but keep it very smooth in viewport. For example, if you already install Redshift, you just select render setting and select Redshift, and if you play here, you see nothing is happening. We don't have any particle here. We cannot see any particle. So for this, we just need first to select our particles and right click, and in render tag add RS object. And here in mode you select what kind of object you want to see. For example, we'll select sphere, and now are generating. For the second also we will do same, and in render tag RS object, and we will select, for example, quad instance, and created for us two different shapes. One sphere, one is like cubes or boxes. But we cannot see still the trails, and for trails also here we must do the same. Right click, render tag, RS object, and here we will select, for example, cylinder, and also for the second one, and we can select again cylinder. And now we have everything all in preview, is generated and is created, and we can easily see in a render view. Now we want to have more control on color and for material. For this we will go on material, and here in material we will select, for example, standard, and we drag it on our particle, and we create it for us. If you play, we'll create one color particle that we have. But what if we want to be a random, and if client asks want to have random colors and we want to easily change it? And if you go here in display and select your emitter, and here if you see is color mode on single color, so we will change it only, for example, on gradient random, and we want it to have, if you in preset you can select, for example, one of these, all of these random colors be our data and be shown on our particle. And if you play, you see nothing is happened here, and still is the same color on particle. Why? Because we selected RS material standard, and we need to see all of random colors only to select another material, and we will select the particle material. Just drag the particle and replace it. And here whatever color you load, for example, from the color gradient we change it, you will see the gradient, the color also will change. And this is great because you only need to change the color of your displays. And here, for example, you change it again to random color, or you change it to gradient random and select, for example, another color. And now let's play again. And you see we have easily created two different random colors just with changing the color display. Then all you need was here material and particle and changing the random color of color display. Now we wanted also to have random colors, but this time for the trailers, because you see the trailers are red and one is green, one is red. They are the color that exactly we here define for them in display. But we wanted be also random color as we selected exactly for particles. For this we need to do a little bit more work. So we just rename the RS particle number 1, and now we will create another particle. We will call it number 2. And in the number 2 we double click and create it for us node editor, or we can see it quickly. And here in node editor we have RS particle, output, and color user data. We don't need, we just delete. And if you click the plus here and just write ramp, we'll drag it here and just connect it to the color. And one more thing we need is the vertex attribute. Just also drag it here, and the out color we just drag it on the ramp and in general input. If you select ramp here, you can see the preview in attribute, and here you can preset load. You can change and select one of these. For example, we select this one, and now we just need to drag it on our trailer, for example the number 1, and play again. And you see they are all one yellow color. Still we must do a little bit more work. We double click on our material and we can see our node editor. And in node editor we select our vertex attribute. And if you select it here we will have a preset and curves. You just change it to curve ID color. And now you see quickly here they all change to random color. Let's select for a better preview RS object cylinder and make this, for example, number 3 and or number 5. We can see better the colors. And also I can drag it on the second one, and let's play again. We created easily random color for our trailers also. And if you again select here and RS and just in ramp, and you can load another preset, for example this one, and you see quickly we have random new colors. Or just jump, let's say this one, and you can easily select the colors that you want randomized for your preview. Let's say we want to change the particles to other object. Here we have, if you select our emitter and RS object, here we have sphere, point, or we can change it to all of them to quad instances. But let's say we want to have some text here or some cube here and some object we wanted to put. And for this easily we change the mode from the sphere to custom objects. And we should create first an object here. For example, we want to have a cube. Just change the size to 20 and select again the RS object, and in custom object just drag it here. And he created for every particle one object. Just select the cube and make it smaller, 5, 5, and 5. And now let's play again. And you see all of the objects turn to the box or a cube here. And for the colorizing, all we need, we just drag our particle material here on a cube. And now we have all of cubes turned to the random colors. Let's say you want to add some 3D text here. Just create a text and we call it, for example, 23. And the height we make it 25. you don't want to be very big, and just click again here, and let's drag again another object, and again we put the color here, and let's make the size, for example, 5, and now play again. The particle, let's drag it here, and create it for us also number and the cube objects. And here is advantage because you have everything in just render view, and if you have the viewport and you play again, you see the speed is all the same. The viewport, you see only the objects like previews, like a sphere or a cubes, but you have the normal speed, and viewport speed will not be slow. But here, if you back to the render in Redshift, you will see totally different object, like the numbers and the cube that we here created. Now we will use another technique to colorize our particles, and we can more art directed and have more control on it. Let's back and select our emitter in display, and color mode we change it to the single color, and the second one also we will change the color mode to the single color. And let's play, we must have only 2 colors. We have only red and blue. Let's say now we want all of them quickly change the color and randomize it and have control on it. For this we will use another modifier. We just select the modifier, and in control modifier, because we want to control the change in colors, we just select here, and we will select xpColor. And in xpColor, let's play again. When you select it, you automatically will see change all the color to the xpColor that we have already is white. And if you change it to red to see better, and play again, and change it all of the particles again to just one single red color. But let's say we want to have a gradient color and have control on it. So we can easily use here a shader, as we use the shader in xpFlowField for the motion and for the movement. Here also we can use for the shader for the color, and just click here and we can use, for example, noise. And now let's play. But the noise, you just click here and we have 2 colors. You can select here, for example, red and blue, and now let's play again. And easily we created a random color of just with noise with 2, and also you can play with the noise, for example, type, and change it and see if you change the type and play again what kind of colors you have. So you can see you have all of these possibilities to change the color, and you can play with all of these possibilities and have your own color and art directed for the client and create different colors quickly and easily. Or you can say, I do not want the shader to be noise. You can back and select the gradient, and if you play again, it should be black and white. And now you see one side is totally black and one side is white. And here, because if you click on the gradient, you see that here again we have the types, we have the colors. You can load a preset here, for example, let's say the full color, just to see in preview. You should always play to refresh it. And now you have again all of this option to play with it and create again your own color distribution. Let's say, for example, spherical, and let's play again. Or let's say we have, for example, radial, and you can art direct it and see what is working the best for your project. To see better, we can just add a here light, a dome light, and now we can see a little bit much better the colors. If you want to quickly find new colors for your data visualization, you can use these 2 websites, and here you can easily select and see the preview of your color on your data. And also here you have the color codes. You can quickly copy them in Snow 4D, and also here you can change between the categories and also the number of the category that you have here. For example, if you have 10 data, and will create for you quickly the random colors and the gradient colors with the numbers that you can easily copy from here and use in your Cinema 4D project. Play with it and have fun. Now we will make another data visualizations by scaling the particles and from exactly what we have. First of all, we will select xpFlowField, and if you see here in display, our vectors are not the direction of viewport. We will change the mode from YZ to XY, and now we can see better the vectors. And now we will delete the trailers because we don't need any trail here, and also the xpTrailmod we will also delete. And we want the more number of particles here. For this we will select emission, the number 1, emission shot, and 1000 for example particles, or we can make it even more, 2000. And the second one also we changed from rate to the shot, and also 2000. Now let's play, and we have now more number of particles. We have xpColor here on is in shader, and we can change it to 3D spherical. We can see colors better. And now we want just add scaling and scale all of particles, but exactly using gradient shader. Just we select modifier, and in control, because we want to control scale, just here xpScale. And let's play again, and you see suddenly the particles start scaling. But we want to have more control on scaling with using our shading and gradient shading. For this we will go to the operation and just select use shader. And exactly we have same option shader. We can select exactly gradient that we already have for color, xpFlowField shader, and also xpColor shader. Now xpScale also shader. Let's play again. We don't see any big difference because radius value is 1. Let's make it for example 5, and now let's play again. And exactly the scaling is based on our shader here. And because we have the type 2D U and we change it for example V, another type, and we can do exactly the control that we already did for color and also the motion of particles in xpFlowField. Let's for example select 2D diagonal, and let's play again. And we have distributed the scale in 2 different types, and here we can easily now play with the different type of scaling. And always if you want to change the radius, you have also control here to play with it. And this also can be a simple technique to create data visualizations with the scaling of exactly what we have. And let's now make it more interesting. Just if we select xpFlowField and the shader, we want to change it from 3D to 2D, and all of the particles move, for example, from the left to the right. We can also change exactly same shading. We will use it also 2D. And we want to test now what will happen if you use all of them and experiment it. And xpScaling also we can use all of them 2D. And you see we have these beautiful cool visualizations. Let's back to the xpColor and change the shading to 3D because we want to have more colors here. And one more thing we can add is another dynamic. Let's scale a little bit the radius, bring it for example to 5. And also in XP dynamic we can add here XP constraint, because we want to have constraint or data visualization between the particles. For this we will choose distance because all particles are moving, and we will select connect within distance. But nothing is happening and we cannot see any constraint. For this we just select our emitter that we want to see the constraint, for example the number 1, and in display just displays here, click, and now beautifully created for us this lines and constraint. But they are all the time there, and we can still modify it, and if you select XP constraint, here we have the radius 40. And we can make the, for example, 20, and you will have the less number of constraint, these lines, and can be data visualization for us. And also we can add some break to it, for example 2, maybe 1, and you see they are animating and they are breaking with the distance, and this can really create some digitalization feeling for your motion graphic. But if you want to see this in render preview, the constraint, we cannot see them again like the trace. Let's render, make a test, and if you render it, you see we cannot see any constraint here in render view. For this, we just need to select a generator and add xpTrail, and select here or emitter that already we selected display constraint. And when you play here, still nothing we can see here, because we algorithm was changed from no connection to constraint, and because we put it on distance, we select the distance. And now let's play. Just final thing we must do is just right click and in render tag add RS object and select, for example, cylinder. And now it's created. Just put it already we created the tray colors, and now we can see in preview all is done. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tutorials. See you in the next one. Happy learning!